G'day guys, and welcome to the second part of my probably 3-part series on making this bed here. I forgot to do this intro when it wasn't raining, and I'm about to edit it and it starts pouring down with rain, so I thought, stuff it, I'm going to do the intro anyway. So in this episode I'm going to go through a couple different things. I'm going to go with making the sides that I've done here, putting the pond liner in, putting the base of it in, and installing the Uniseals. So if you want to watch the previous episode that I did, check it right about there. I'll leave it up for a second. And yeah, so I'll get stuck into it because I'm getting wet, and look forward to the next one. Hey guys, so part 2. So I've got the frame completed behind me, and now I'm going to line the sides of it and line the bottom of it with wood. I'm going to use the sides, for the sides, I want something nice and strong that won't bow in. It can be pretty much anything, but I'm going to use sleepers, because when I first made my first garden bed in the house that I got here, I made it looking like this. So it didn't work for a couple of reasons, but basically it took too much water, too much effort, and I didn't like it very much. So I've still got all those sleepers that I used to line the entire backyard, so I put them to use inside of the beds. If I didn't have the sleepers, I probably wouldn't use them, but I've got them, so I'll be using them. If you wanted something else to use, you could use either plywood, as long as it's nice and sealed from the elements, or something like that. But yeah, keep watching and I will get started on it, and you can watch me doing all the stuff behind. the frame is all painted up, the sides are on, and I've had a few comments from people in the look through the build and seeing how it's going, and they say it's not going to be very strong right through the middle. I think it's a little bit wide for the steel here, so I'm always open for suggestions. So I've got 2 more pieces of steel, and I'm going to quickly weld them into the middles, so it'll give a little bit more support through it. And then I'll go on to the next bits. Okay, so I thought I'd take you for a little bit of a look, a bit closer about how it's all come together. So this is the new leg that I just put on. Doing a little weld there. I'll give it a paint quite soon. And you'll see how I've done everything there. So the side of the wood comes up to there. And I've recessed all the little bolts in there, so it should all sit in there quite nicely. And this is the rest of it. So I will start on the next bit. The legs inside of the bed are done, so it should have enough supports if it starts to bow in like that. I don't think it will, but it's easier to do it now than it is to do it later. So the next part I've got to do is add a base that the bed can actually sit on. And the best thing I've found for it, or the cheapest one that I find that works quite well, is plywood. So here I have some panels of plywood. The only problem is that I cannot get the big enough ones to fit in here ideally and get them to still fit in my car quite well, because I've only got a little car and I've got to go with what works. So I've got these bits and I'm going to put them lengthways across the bed, and I'm going to screw them down into the side and put some very small little supports on the side of the bed that needs it. So I'm going to lay all these down and then mark up the places that I'm going to put all the Uniseals and that sort of stuff in. So yeah, keep watching. Okay, behind me I have all the panels pretty much in place. They're not screwed down or anything yet, because first I want to drill out the holes for the Uniseals. For those of you that don't know, these are Uniseals. So these are used to create quite a nice seal between the anything really and the water. So you can put these in there and it stops the water from getting through. They're quite handy, and these sorts are quite cheap. So this one costs about $9, this one costs about $3. So for that I can get them done quite cheaply and quite easily. But I need to drill holes for them, and I want to get them in place and show you a couple of things you need to do with them so that they fit quite well inside of wood. So first I'm going to measure up where I want them to go, because I don't want to have to re-dig everything in the ground, so I want to use the existing plumbing that's there and just adapt this or drill the holes in the right spot, so I just have to push it straight into place. So I'll take some measurements and then I'll find the correct spot on the beds here and then go from there. Okay, so to put the Uniseal in, you use one of these guys. It's called a little hole saw. These ones are more designed for doing spotlights in roofs, so you can pick up a pack of these quite cheap. You just got to make sure that you get the right size one to fit on the right size Uniseal. There's everything online, all the information that you need. This one's for a 40mm pipe, which is what I'm going to use as the siphon pipe to suck all the water straight out. So I've got to drill a hole that fits that one perfectly, and then this will sit inside of it, and I'll go on to the next bit. So I'll drill some holes. These work better if they're not horribly blunt, but I've done a few of them now, so it's taking a little bit to get through the stuff. But it should be smooth and it should be circular. And we are through. So that'll fit in there quite nicely. The pipe will push against it and it should sit in the next bit. So I'll do the other one. Okay, so this one is a little bit sharper, so it should go through there without a problem at all. It's supposed to be that easy. Okay, so something that I discovered about Uniseals is that they need a good bit to bite on. If you see the thickness of them there, at the end they have a little bit of a lip that comes out, and you need to be able to use that when it's biting into it. If you put it in like this, you can see that with the wood there's no part for it to stretch out and bite into. You want the edge of the Uniseal to be pushed against it and the edge bit to flare out more, and then that will hold it inside of the piece of wood far better. Because as it is, when it gets enough pressure from underneath, if it doesn't have anything to bite on, the Uniseal will pop out and then water will flow everywhere, which I discovered the hard way on several of the white beds here. So say the bed, lots and lots of rain, and the bed dropped by maybe that much. It was enough to pop out the Uniseal and then water went everywhere. So I discovered that you've actually got to route the edges of it or curve the edges of it a little bit so that the edges of this have got something to bite into. So I'm going to pull out my router and then I'm just going to put a quick little lip around that, and that should hold this in very, very well. So I'll get onto that. So this is not the ideal way by any stretch of the imagination. Ideally I want to have a router that had a nice drill bit on it, but I don't have any router bits, so this is what I'm going to be using. I just need to curve out the edge of this, and once that's done, then the Uniseal will fit quite well. Okay, so as you can see, this will now have something that actually bite into. So the lip of it will be able to bend out and hold everything into place, which is what you want. Okay, so you can now see that I've got the piece of wood there, so that the lip of it will have something to click onto when it actually goes in. I'll show you a little bit closer. So you can see that it has something to lip onto. So the idea behind a Uniseal is this piece of pipe. This piece of pipe will stick through here, so it'll push through the actual Uniseal, and as it goes out, it pushes the edges of the Uniseal into whatever it's going against, and that keeps a very tight seal against it. So when the pond liner gets in there, I'm going to put that through there. I'm going to cut a hole in the pond liner, push it through the edges, and then push this through, which will create a very tight seal around the edges of it there, and that will keep all the water in and stop any sort of leaks from the system. And once you've got the lip of this bird down, as I have here, it'll be very, very tight, and it'll be a very, very good seal inside of it. So now I'm going to screw all these pieces of wood down onto the bed here so they'll stay nice and strong, and then I'm going to go with the pond liner and show you how that all works. All the bed is screwed down and in place, so it's quite solid and it's not going to shift and it's not going to move, and it should be able to hold the weight with the added support of the steel underneath. But I've got some pieces that are raised up a little bit and they've got slightly sharp edges, so I thought I'd use some old rags, some old chef jackets that I've got that are quite horribly grubby, and I was just going to lie them over the top of the sharp little edges, and it should be able to keep them quite, well, stop them from puncturing the pond liner. I've got quite thick pond liner, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of assurance with spare rags that I've got lying around. Okay, so what I have here is pond liner. It's quite a handy product. It's basically a thick plastic that can go over the bed and it'll waterproof everything and be strong enough to take all the media and that sort of stuff. But one thing to note about pond liner is that it's not all created equally. I bought a couple of different types for grow beds and everything, and some of it is just not very thick. And when it's not very thick, it's very prone to leaks and that sort of stuff. This one is about, I think it's about 0.4 mil thick or 0.6 mil thick or something like that. But you can feel the rigidity between it. The thinner ones are just not thick enough and they cannot hold the weight of it. So if you're buying pond liner, make sure you get a strong one. Second point for the pond liner is do not rush putting it in, because you pretty much get only one chance to cut the holes for the Uniseals and to trim it so it fits quite well. You do not want to rush it. I've done it a couple of times and I've regretted it because I've cut it too early and I've cut it slightly too thin, and then when the water goes in it pushes it all to the edge and it fills up all the edges of the bed and there is just not enough room for it to spread out, and then you end up a little bit below the edge and you can't fill the bed as high as you want to and stuff like that. So what I recommend doing is you put the pond liner in there, you staple down the two edges, and then you fill it with water. This will get all the weight of it and it will push it straight into the bed. So it'll fill up every single corner of the bed with the water and then it'll be ready to go there. So you'll be able to position it into place and it'll be good to go. So I'm going to get stuck into that, and you guys can see how I do it. Okay, so to connect the pond liner to the actual bed, I have this guy. It's a staple gun. So it'll shoot a little shoot a little staple in that will hold the pond liner in place quite well. So when I do it, I'll put the two end pieces in first. So I will put one staple right here at the end, and then I'll put another staple right in the middle at the other side, roll it all out, and then fill it up with water, and then that should push the pond liner into all the creaks and the edges of it, which is what you want. So I'll get onto it. So the best way to put the pond liner in it so it fills it up is with a bit of water. So I'm going to put the hose in there, and the weight of the water will push everything to the edges, so that's what you really want. So I'll get that in there and let it do its thing. So a few people have asked how to get the neatest possible corners in these beds. The best way I can say is you just fill it up with water and it pushes it all towards the edges, and then basically fold over into a nice neat corner and then staple down. It's not particularly more tricky than that, and that's all I really do here. Okay, so down here is one of the perfect reasons why you need to reinforce the legs for one of these beds. There's not enough of a footprint for all the weight that's coming across it here, and you can see this bed has sunken down that far. There is no more room there, and so I'm going to need to lift it up a little bit so that the water goes to the other end of the bed. So I'm going to put a jack underneath it and let it go. So you can see behind me, all the pond liner is pretty much in place. So now I'm going to go cut these little edges down to the point, and then I can fold over the parts, and then I'm going to go put a whole lot more staples inside of this, and then that should keep all the pond liner in place. And then after that, I'm going to install the Uniseals. Okay, so now it is time for the Uniseal fun time. So the Uniseal here, and there is already an existing hole in this bed. So I am going to feel around, see if I can find it, cut a hole. So when I cut a hole, I'm going to cut a circular hole that is slightly smaller than this. So then I can push this through and the pond liner itself will stretch and form a nice seal around there. Then I'm going to lube this up, so I'm going to use probably a little bit of dishwashing oil or dishwashing liquid, and then I'm going to push that through there, and it should create a nice fine seal inside of the bed, which will keep all the water in and stop it from leaking. Okay, so if you can see there, the Uniseal is now in place. And it will create okay, so that one was the easy Uniseal. This one is the not so easy Uniseal. This is a 90mm Uniseal, and I need it to go that big so that I can gravity feed from each of the beds and have a decent flow that goes through it. This one is just never a fun one to actually get into the bed. It does not like anything, it doesn't like moving around, it does not want to go through, and I have to fight it the entire way. So I had discovered a nice easy way of getting it in there, and I'll show you guys now. But first, a couple things you've got to do to this pipe to get it to come through. You've got to cut a couple slots in it along there that will help it bend together and then conform to the actual pipe itself to get through. It doesn't automatically get it through, but it makes it a little bit easier, which is what I'm going to have. So I'm going to cut some nice little slots down there and then move on from there. Okay, so as you can see, I have cut open the edges of all this pipe. Now the idea of it is it'll push the corners together, so then the Uniseal will come straight over the top of it and then keep on sliding all the way down, and there'll be a nice curved smooth line to get it in. This usually works for something like an IBC because I think the plastic around it stretches a little bit and expands to allow it in. But in this one, I've got a timber bit, and the timber does not like to stretch or move. It's stuck in one place, and it does not work. I have tried it, and I got very, very annoyed at it, and I almost broke my thumb trying to whack it through with a hammer. So the way that I found that gets it through the best is this. So this is a ratchet rope. You can hook one side of the bed, and then you hook the other side to it, and then I put it over the top of the pipe, and then I ratchet it down, and the force that gets pushed down on it is a lot more than anything that I could physically do. So I will get onto that and I'll show you how it works. But first, I'll find the hole again, I will cut it around, I'll make a little spot for the Uniseal to sit into, and then I'll start ratcheting it down. This here, and I'm going to ratchet it back and forth until it starts to snap into place. Okay, and not every single time it works. Not every single time it works. You can see the little lip that is built up here, and it's having trouble pushing past that bit, which is annoying. So now we'll start again. Okay, so even with my little trick, it's been painful to go through, as I expected it to. So I'm trying again. I've got lots of little short cuts along it, so hopefully that'll let it go through. The problem I'm having at the moment is that I'm getting one little bit that's bowing out and it's not letting it go through. So I will keep on trying. And I hate 90mm Uniseals. Okay, I'm going to cut these a little bit deeper because they're still not going in. Okay, so they are deeper now, so hopefully they should go in this time. Okay, so still no luck. and I'm getting annoyed, so I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try a little bit of Eco Oil, see if that is a better lubricant than the dishwasher detergent, because she does not want to go through. And there. It is in. I freaking hate Uniseals. 90mm ones. I hate them. Okay guys, future reference. Eco Oil, not detergent. It gets it through easier. I do not like 90mm Uniseals. Okay guys, thanks for watching this part of it, and the next part should be out soon. But the bed where I want to put it, I want to let that area grow a little bit more. I'll walk over there. Okay, so the plan was to put the beds here, but I want to collect some seeds off this one. It's almost ready. I've got little seeds that are starting to pop out here, and I just wanted to collect them all because I love this sort of lettuce, and it's very good for a self-seeding lettuce. So I wanted to let it finish growing, so I don't want to pull it out just yet, but it needs about a week or two before. And yeah, so the next video, I'm going to go through a couple different things. I'm going to go through how you support the legs, so concreting the legs into place, or concreting little pavers, and then the legs can go on top of that, so it stops it from sinking. I'm going to go through things like how I hook it up into the existing plumbing that's there. I'm going to go through things like, well, me shoveling a hell of a lot of media because that is one big bed, and I'm not looking forward to that, but I'll get into that as well. And then fine-tuning the siphon. So what's involved in getting the siphon to kick off and to reliably turn on and off. And the final thing I'm going to do is go through the price. So I'm guessing some of you guys are curious about how much this bed costs to build and all those sorts of things. So I'm going to have a quite detailed rundown on what I spent on everything and how much it will cost for you guys to do it yourself. So yeah, thanks for watching, and once it's done, the new link will be up around there somewhere. And yeah, thanks for watching, and keep forward looking, and I look forward to doing the next one.